What is up, dude? Motorcycles, am I right, bro? Fuck. Sorry for the wait, dude.
Sweat, homie.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I was over here about to freaking tear the whole bike apart, thinking it was the freaking...
How it goes, dude.
Yeah, but...
Oh, that's sick.
Dude, if anything, you're the guy I would have freaking ran straight to who's ever dealt with anything, because, bro, you've owned this bike for a while, huh?
I have. We've been through a lot together.
I'm excited to go over that, but dude, before anything, bro, food, because I'm running low.
Me too, man. I actually should have eaten. I actually got pretty drunk last night. I've had a hangover all fucking day.
Oh, damn, so you're barely about to eat?
All I've been doing is fucking smoking weed all morning.
Hell yeah. I think what caught my eye was when I saw you post something a while ago, and it was like the Sturgis sign. I'm like, okay, like,
oh, yeah.
He didn't have to put the location. We're definitely out here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, standing up on top of it.
Hell yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Love that.
That was my third Sturgis.
Dude, Black Bear never disappoints, bro. Like, I know it's not exactly that hole-in-the-wall, cool spot diner, but bro.
It is a California chain.
Yeah, that's the thing. You'll always find one around here.
Yeah.
Sick. Man, is there a little kick it spot that you know around here we could cruise to, and you know, not as much cars and parking lots, or?
No, it's all cars and parking lots.
All right, then I'm good with it here if you are. Hey, we got a perfect background too.
Thing. What is that?
Starlight. I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, let's look at the hubcaps. Huh.
DeSoto.
Okay. It's straight up a DeSoto.
Wow, look at this guy.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Fender.
Conquistador, what is it? Hell yeah. This guy gets it. Cracked window goes hard too.
Dude, this thing would crush any car out here.
Man, that's so cool. Oh, hell yeah. They don't make...
Head-on collision, this thing would be like...
Look at this. Look at all this metal. No plastic or fiberglass. Damn, bro.
There's fiberglass.
Man, I'm excited because, dude, man, okay, I'm trying to think of when I probably came across your page, but it must have been, you know what? I think it was House of Choppers.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm only aware of that page just through their bikes and all that stuff, but then I think you had popped up and I got stuck on you because, first of all, the way you style this bike is sick. I mean, like, you know, unarguably. But wherever I saw you cruising, bro, like, I noticed I'd see some stuff that seemed local to me, and then at some point I see you outside the Sturgis sign with this Sportster. So, I mean, not to, like, drag too far out, but I mean, how long have you owned this bike?
9 years probably. I bought it, it had less than 2,000 miles on it.
Okay, 9 years with this bike. Okay, and then do you have, I mean, not necessarily on you if you could send them, but do you have photos when you just got it?
I have a picture of the day I brought it home.
Okay, and then, like, was it like fairly stock, or was it
bone stock?
Okay, bone stock, right on. Hell yeah.
Yeah, bog stock.
Damn. Okay, so you got it. When you got it before this Sportster, you said you only had sport bikes?
Yes.
Sport bikes, like what, like a Gixxer, CB?
I had a ZX9. I had, my favorite was a GPZ 550. It was the baby brother to the bike that Tom Cruise rode.
Oh, damn.
Top Gun.
Trying to do some stunts or what?
Sick. I did learn how to wheelie and stop.
Hell yeah.
Because they were chain driven and they were sport bikes. I learned how to wheelie and stop you on those. I crashed those a bunch too. Yeah, those bikes were fun to lay down too.
And as far as this goes, like, so when you got this, like, what drew you to want to get one of these? Like, from sport bikes and hopping on a Sportster, like, where did that come from?
Well, I just wanted to build a chopper. And
okay. I
was doing it on a budget, and so I had a buddy that had a sporty chop that he had done a lot too. So
okay.
And I was on a serious budget. I had a car. I had a little Civic that I was trying to sell, but for what I could get for that car, I was somewhere in like Yamaha XS 650 range.
Yeah, okay, I can see where that.
I started looking at those because they're kind of a popular bike to chop, and I was thinking like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to start. But as I started shopping for them, I realized that for not that much more money, sometimes as little as a few $100s, I was starting to get into Sportster range, and I just kind of leaned into that. So I started looking at Sportsters and found this old hunk of junk. It was an 883 when it started, an 883C. It was white.
Okay.
And it had the blonde motor.
And did you have any knowledge of these prior to owning it?
No.
No? You just had, like you said, you had a friend?
I had a buddy that had it. I had a buddy that had one, and I knew enough that I didn't want a fuel-injected bike. Okay. So I bought the last carbureted bike they ever...
04, right? You said?
Well, it was meant the last. They did it in 05 too, but yeah, it's an 04 probably not.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
The day I brought it home.
With a wide old tank on there.
Oh, huge. Fat boy tank.
Hell yeah, I think it's classic looking, but Okay, so
same frame, same wheels.
So you already had intentions when you got it, like.
I did, and I saw the vision. In fact, I responded to a Craigslist ad with no pictures for that.
Really?
And the person got back to me, and it was a chick actually. She sent me pictures right away, and I was like, as soon as I saw these terrible pictures from like standing back in her garage with shit piled in it, and I was like, oh, that's the bike. I just saw the vision. I saw what I wanted to do, and I just went from there. And you know, it evolved.
Damn.
Evolved out.
So 9 years, and then like, man, this isn't one of those bikes I gotta be like, oh, where'd you get this shock? Where'd you get that? But like, I'm just gonna point out the things that like, or actually point out the things to me that you know that you really that you can point out on it.
I don't like anything to come off a shelf. I mean, obviously something like the pipes do. And,
yeah.
You know, I've had pipes that were made, but I like my stuff to. I don't give a shit about somebody's name unless it's a homie. You know what I mean?
That makes sense to me.
I don't give a fuck about a bait seat. There's so much. A bait seat that's been sitting in somebody's garage for 60 years is just like this rotted corpse of something.
I don't have $600 for that.
I don't have $600 or any. I don't give a fuck about anything like that. What I do care about is that when me and my buddies made those handlebars in Illinois one Jameson fueled night in 2015, like those didn't come off a shelf. They're obviously a talking point for the bike, and people love them, and I love them too. I get it. But the fact that you can't just walk into a fucking motorcycle shop and buy those is what is more important to me. And I don't want to be. I don't give a fuck about. It just means more to me to have something that was made by a homie. Yeah. You know, it just means something way more.
Dude,
you know?
I mean,
my taillight is one of my favorite pieces. It was inspired by the Captain America bike, and you know, one of my buddies made that in Illinois too. It's the same material as the handlebar crossbars right here. You know. Wow. So that means a ton to me, you know, like the engraving on here, it's got the King's crown. I'm a Kings fan. My buddy Lincoln, Lincoln. Okay. Stereo with the black flag logo. Okay, bro. You know, like my homie did those for me, so they're just those are. I don't want something off a shelf. I want that. Yeah. You know? I mean, dude, it's even cool, like a swap meet or a hand me down, like that stuff. I love that too. That you know that too. Those taillights were the taillights. I had silver ones, and I saw those black ones sitting on somebody's tarp at the swap, and it was like, holy shit, you know, like now they were, I don't know, they're not much, but it was just. I mean, speaking of like baits and all that stuff, tell me about the seat, bro, because I mean, Eric Casa, when Eric sat on it, he was saying you nailed it, like it's comfy. I built the seat pan and padded it. It's old now and got 1 million miles on it. It's ostrich leg leather. See, there's the quills. Yeah. My uncle used to own an ostrich farm when I was a kid, and I called him. He always had like an ostrich leather headband. He was a fucking yuppie with his phone holster, and I called him and said, hey, you got any more ostrich? And he sent me 2 whole hides, which are worth a fortune, but they were veg tan, and I didn't want any brown on this, but the legs were already dyed black. So that's so it's ostrich leg, which it looks like dinosaur because they are fucking dinosaurs. It does look like dinosaur, they are bro. Dinosaurs, yeah. That's ostrich leg? Yeah, the people usually go for this because that's that's what I'm aware of. But yeah, this is the legs. Wow. They like split it down the front because their knees bend backwards. They're gnarly. Okay. Ostriches fucking suck. Damn, and then okay, these pegs too. These are like, you just grind them down. These are hella short. I just cut them in half. Yeah, narrow. I want everything short, narrow. So every time I go through pegs all the time because the bike falls. It's on its side a lot, so they break and shit. Yeah. So these whatever pegs I get something I can just lop in half or chop them down. And I actually have a pair of really, really tiny floorboards. That's tight too, but I don't know. They don't fit 100% right. So. Oh, okay. And then you told me this is your fourth motor. Fourth motor in this. Fourth motor. Okay, and then like. Yeah, you put miles down. So like, what was your first long stretch on this bike? The first long trip I did was from LA to Portland. It's 1,000 miles, and I was moving up there. So that was the first really long trip I did. The first long solo trip I did was coming from Portland back. Learned a ton on that one too, and that just kind of set the pace. And I just started not being afraid to mash. I would mash back to Arizona to visit some family in between, and I did EDR in 2015. I got back to the job I was working in Southern California and walked in. They said, hey, we're making some changes and you're one of them, and see ya. And so I hit the road, and that was really what kind of set it. That's when the bike started to garner a lot of attention, is when I was doing that around the country trip in 2015. That's when it might have been 2015. You were covering some ground on this, man. That was the longest trip. So where did you start and then continue to go from there? I consider the start Southern California, including EDR, because it was continuous. I just kept going, and I just continued on. So I did 23 states on that. That trip was like, I think it was, damn, now I'm getting all my numbers mixed up. I don't remember how many that one was. It was 23 states, 18 of which I'd never been to. I think that trip was like 15,000 miles.
Okay, 15,000 is a lot, bro.
But I mean, I've just done it a bunch. I've done it. Bike's been to Sturgis 4 times. Been on EDR 5 times, even though I've only been 4. My buddy, I had a homie that his bike was down. I had a warrant, so I wasn't crossing any borders. And he was like, I was like, take my bike. He made me change the handlebars though.
Oh, okay, yeah, he couldn't hang.
After he got back, he said he wishes he would have left these on there, but he didn't.
Oh, okay. Damn, okay, so all those miles. So initially you got the bike because you wanted a chopper, you wanted to cruise and have some style, but then you said initially you moved to Oregon or to Portland?
I did. I moved to Portland from LA.
And you brought this.
This was my only vehicle. This was my only vehicle for probably the last like 6 years. I sold my car to get this, and I was car free. My wife had a car at the time. My wife had but this was my vehicle. I commuted on this thing. I did everything on this thing. And that was the other thing too, is while I was modifying it, I was riding it. So the truth is, it's really hard to modify your bike 2 days at a time, but I kind of had to be in that. I had to be able to get this thing back together to a point where I could take it somewhere. You know, so even if sometimes the mods weren't finished, I had to be able to put it back together in a rideable condition and then maybe even take it apart. You know, the longest I had sometimes was a 3-day weekend to keep it up in the air.
Yeah.
And I took advantage of it, but you know, once I really got into access to some garages with some like real fabrication stuff is when things really started to change. So I built it in a single car garage with hand tools when I first started. I didn't know fuck about shit.
Hell yeah. I mean, with all that put together, I mean, clearly I can see the bike. It runs, bro. Like, you got it all figured out. What's the most major thing you've had to do other than pull the motor? Because I know you said 4 motors, that's a given with all the miles you're putting on it. Yeah. But other than that, what else has been like a tackle for you? I dropped it trying to unload it out of my truck. I was trying to unload it out of my truck by myself, and I dropped it off the back of the truck. It got too far down. I don't have a front brake, and it just went, and it landed on its side super hard. Did tons of damage to the bike. Some of the worst damage it's had. It shifted the motor sideways. The wheel hit the fender. Everything was crooked and bent. It took a lot to get it back. Did you need a different swing arm?
No, I just had to pull
readjust,
straighten everything out. I did put new rear motor mounts in on that.
Okay.
It bent my handlebars. It smashed my fairing. It broke my mirror. It bent my sissy bar. It bent everything on the bike.
Damn, bro.
On its left side. It was bad. I was so fucking pissed at myself when that happened.
Jeez.
And
okay, with the suspension, did you already have this bracket back here that kicks the rear out?
I did. That was actually one of the first things I got on it. I found that online. This company that was at the time, it was like 2 guys doing stuff. I got it because I couldn't afford lowering shocks. I wanted to lower it in the back, and so I got that bracket, and they're chromoly, and every now and then I might take them off and sand them down and paint them, and I just put them back on. Yeah. I have since come across the company. They've gotten a lot bigger.
They still make them, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, I've come across them at events and stuff, and I actually I was at an event not too long ago and was like, hey, check this out, and I wheeled my bike over to the booth and showed them, and they guys were
like the early model.
I just never had any reason to change them. They've never given me any issue. They work perfectly. They're not bent. They're just strong as shit. They put the shock at a crazy angle. They lower the bike the way I want.
Is this the same shock you've had?
Stock shock.
Stock shock. With what, like how many thousand miles do you think on there?
All of them.
All of them? Every thousand? Damn.
The wheels are stock. The frame is stock. The trees are stock. The top of the trees are stock. The lowers are stock.
Yeah. And then like how many inch over tubes are you running?
Those are 14s.
Damn, so 14 all the way up, huh? Yeah. Okay. Damn, 14 up, and then like this is a stock shock, but just with a freaking
3 inches.
Lower 3 inches. Okay, and that doesn't do anything to the travel. Everything's good. It's just normal, right?
Not at all. It's terrible. If I can get an inch in there, it pounds like a motherfucker. It hits the, it reduced it by a ton, but I mean, I don't care. What's the
Hell yeah. No, it does drop the rear dramatically. I like that a lot. Actually,
and it puts the shock in angle in line with my handlebars, which was a big thing on me. All the angle. People get weird about the angles, but like this, my tank is mounted right here because I like this line.
I see it
right there, and I like that cap.
No, I see it.
Reason that's why my tank is where it is.
Yeah, dude, your fork and bars are lined up to the sissy bar.
That was on purpose too. I wanted my sissy bar at the same angle as my fork. It's a lot steeper than a lot of people run, but I wanted it.
No, it looks
because I cut it so far in.
Yeah, it looks hella good. Yeah, the first trip you did, you said was, because you moved, right? And then coming back. After that, EDR, and then the circumstance at work that caused you to just kind of F it. Like, I got all the time in the world. So from EDR, you went to, what you said, 20...
EDR, I came back up. I was here back in California for a day or two. Vegas for a night. And then I met my twin brother in Rachel, Nevada, which is the closest place to Area 51. And he and I rode on to Berkeley. We spent a couple days in Berkeley for the 4th of July. Continued up to California and the Oregon coast to Astoria, where the Goonies was filmed. Did there. continued on up to Bellingham, Washington, which is where my brother and his family stayed. From there, I rode back down to Portland. I stayed in Portland for a couple days, working under the table for a shop I had worked at.
Okay.
Put a little more money in my pocket. From there, I rode east. A couple days in, I linked up with some two randos that were on their way to Sturgis and partied and stayed with them across the country.
Oh, what?
Found a homie in Sturgis, my boy Fredo. What up, Fredo?
Fredo.
He had linked up with the Choppers magazine guys, and so we just kind of landed on those guys, these chopper dudes, and they fucking loved us, and so we just rallied through that. That was the 75th Sturgis. It was unreal. First one I'd been to. I was even though I was there with homies and we were doing our thing, I was there by myself. In fact, as soon as it started raining, I continued east, and all the homies took off west to go their way, and I took off east by myself. Camped tonight in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Woke up the next morning with a storm coming after me that I had to run from, and between Sioux Falls, South Dakota and Chicago, Illinois, this thing, the first motor absolutely ate itself alive. It spun the front the front cylinder bearing at the crank pin, spun that bearing. The bearing seized, and so it started to saw through it. I still have the crank pin somewhere. Half of the crank pin, about ½ inch wide, has an eighth inch deep channel run through it. So every time that front piston was firing, it was just wiggling around, and it sounded like there was a fucking handful of glass in this thing. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
But it stayed running and got me where I was going, and that led me to getting a under the table cash job, and spent 2.5 months, one of the greatest summers of my life.
What, where at?
Chicago.
Chicago, wow.
Just 45 minutes northwest of there, but in Chicago for the summer. And me and my homies put the motor number 2 in this thing. I got it online and put motor number 2 in this thing.
In Chicago.
Yeah. And then as soon as I was ready to go, it was October. We partied there a lot too. I had a bike I had a spare bike. The homies had a spare bike I could ride.
Yeah.
While this thing was down, so I didn't even have to get off the bike. And then as soon as this thing was ready, it was mid-October. It was starting to get cold up there, and so I sent 2 texts. I sent a text to a homie in Texas, and I sent a text to a homie in Florida, my boy Chad Manduzel. And Chad answered me from Florida, and it was cold as fuck where I was standing, and he goes, I said, what are you doing? He's like, it's 75 and sunny. I rode all day. I said, I am on my way. So
yeah,
I continued on.
Chicago to...
I went through Maryland, went down through North Carolina, stayed in North Carolina for a couple days with an old college roommate. Continued on, camped one night in Savannah, Georgia by myself on the side of the road. That was one of the craziest nights of my life.
Did you have like a tent set up too, or you just slept on the ground? I have a little one-man.
Sometimes I don't want to unroll my bike, so I just will unroll a bedroll right next to it. It depends on where I am. If I'm in like a parking lot, like I wouldn't choose a parking lot like this, but if I'm in a parking lot, like a park and ride or something like that, I don't like to get too spread out.
Of course
you
not.
want to be able to get up and get out as quick as you can if somebody comes and shakes your shit, but I've never had any issues with that, but still just precautionary. If I don't really set up my tent, my setup, unless I'm somewhere I could be for a couple days and I feel like it's like secure, you know what I mean?
But just to lay your head for one night, you just unroll.
Just bedroll out. I've not even done that, just right next to my bike, miserable before, but just to get out of the cold and be tired for a little while. So it just depends on what's going on, but
damn, so from Chicago you went straight out, met up through all the Dakotas. From Chicago I headed east through Maryland, then down through the Carolinas, through Georgia, into Florida. Spent about a week in Florida. Did the tarball run out there with some of the homies. That was the shit. Had a great fucking time. Florida absolutely rules, dude. It deserves all the shit it gets. That place is absolutely fucking weird, man. Florida people are absolutely fucking bonkers. But you got to go there expecting it, and if you go there with the right attitude, that place is just unbelievable. I even got a Florida tattoo. It was such a badass place. Okay. Then, all on the Sportster again, bro.
That bike right there, dude.
Yeah.
We go everywhere together. Here's all my shit. See that? From my travels.
So this is all from where? From
just travels. You get my ex-wife gave me that bell. There's an old wedding ring. This is some kind of weird mineral they pull out of the ground somewhere near Sturgis. It's not quite turquoise. I don't know. It's some kind of like organic shit. I don't know. There's the Bigfoot Bro Down. I got number 4. There was like 16 bikes on that. And the little Mexican guy from one of the EDRs with just a bottle of tequila. There's the Bigfoot Bro Down 2. That was we made it up to Oregon, so I got the Bigfoot.
got all your charms up here.
And then there's another bell with the lighthouse. My homie Eddie gave me that because we always aim for lighthouses because they're the coolest, farthest destinations. They're always at the end of the cool shit. So you can make it to a lighthouse on your bike, you're styling. That's a piece of pure silver we pulled out of some electronics at my buddy's garage in Phoenix, 44th Street Garage.
Okay.
There's a peso from the first EDR I went to. Punched a hole in it.
First EDR, got it.
It's Washington State Lottery Scratcher, which I always try to buy a lottery ticket when I cross a new state line, because why the hell not? This is from Vegas. I can't remember why it's a C or who gave it to me.
You don't even know?
I don't remember. There's a drink token from some bar in Tombstone. This is the Bastard Alliance Southeast. Those are the Florida homies, Chad and Billy. Billy Whiskey. I love those dudes. This is the stray dog tattoo, or a tattoo.
Dog tag.
Stray dog tag I got in, I think, Illinois. Somebody gave me that. There's there's an armadillo from Texas, and then here's a moose from Montana.
Damn,
Some
bro.
of the stuff. Yeah, I don't like collecting. I don't put patches on my shit, so I like to collect trinkets and all my wristbands from all the travels. These are all. There was Sturgis, one of them. There's an old Born Free grass pass.
Yeah.
There's a Rocco's Modern Life slap bracelet. Born Free Texas.
A Rocco's slap bracelet, bro. That caught me off guard. I'm like, where was that from?
Right, and just some, Full Throttle Saloon and Sturgis, a couple of them.
Wow.
I try to put, they come in to go, but I always try to put my wristbands on here.
Yeah.
When we go, I try not to stick them to me, but if I can keep it off, that's where they want.
Is there significance to this feather? I'm just looking at it
No, it's
right
just
now.
a parrot feather. I found it yesterday, but I love the parrots that fly around Southern California, the green parrots.
I was gonna say that. Do they not? Aren't they coming from Santa Ana?
I don't know where.
I think it is.
Parrot.
Not because I talked to a couple and they said.
I like I just know them from Long Beach, but
Yeah.
where I work up the street up here, I found that in the parking lot. So I just
word.
like the California parrots. They're cool.
Sick. Is there visibility you get out of this? No.
Nope. That's just for fun.
Okay, because bro, you had me fooled. I'm like, this guy's got it figured out. I was all stoked on you, bro.
That's just for fun.
Okay, just kind of like highlighting how narrow the bike is, because
Yeah, I couldn't
man,
do it on the bars. It would just take away from it. It looks silly, so I don't need a mirror, but I just thought it was cool down there.
that is way tough. And what tire is this up front? This thing's mean.
A dead ass. Looking whale bars. It's a dead ass Firestone. I'm gonna put another one in these new tires. It's a front tire on the back.
Wait, okay, you have a like a Fat Boy, huh? Like a 16.
Yeah, that's actually a Fat Boy front wheel. This is dual disc Fat Boy front wheel. So it's kinda
what?
funny that it has a front tire on it. Yeah, look, front wheel.
Oh, yeah, front only, brother. Damn, that is wild.
Got some chunks taken out of it.
So like, okay, so you said you work locally around here. So in your day-to-day life, is this your only vehicle, or
No,
do you
I have a truck too, but it's
hell yeah.
it's a piece of shit. This thing goes in it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. The truck I have as a vehicle, but its main purpose is to facilitate this thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't like this thing going in a truck, but
if need be,
sometimes that's
right?
the way. Yeah.
But
still have life to do. So if I have another vehicle, I have to be able to put one of my vehicles in the other vehicle. So.
And then, do you drive that thing often at all, or is it mainly this?
I do. I mean, I drive my truck all the time during the day. It's kind of what I commute in, because this thing gets beat up, and it's actually not running that great right now. But
like you had mentioned, the motor, right?
Well, the front head. Well, the front head is off of a different motor. The front head is off of a 2000.
Oh wow!
On the side, you can see the difference. Yeah.
Wait, hold it. Just the front head?
Just the front head. See the difference in the fins?
Yeah.
This is off of a 2000. This is a 2011. So the motor's a 2011, except for that front head is a 2000. So that motor has 11 more years on it than the rest of the bike, and it sounds like it's got its own little diesel engine in there right now.
Oh wow!
It's all good. I'll put a new head on it and be good to go.
Damn, I see. And then how did you come across this tank?
The tank?
Yeah.
Well, the tank was it had that big white tank that you saw, and I always wanted a Peanut Sporty, and I just talked about it. This was what I wanted on it.
Yeah.
And I wanted it Frisco mounted. I wanted it tall. So I was at the swap meet, the Long Beach swap meet once with a buddy of mine. Weird ass buddy. This guy named Scott just comes walking up to me at a booth. I had lost him kind of in the fray for a couple minutes, and he just comes walking up to me and just hands it to me. And I was
really?
like, what the fuck? He wouldn't tell me how much he paid for it. He wouldn't let me give me anything for it. He's like, here's your tank. And so it sat on my shelf for a long time, because the petcock's in the wrong place and so is the filler neck. But I don't know. It took me a while to get the gumption to drill the backbone and put it on there, because the tank mounted elsewhere. But one day I just did. I have pictures of the bike with the tank in a bunch of different places until I figured out where I wanted it.
You really were just like kind of...
Yeah, I just slid it up and down until and so I like the guys that build the... some of the Japanese guys built the choppers with they shape the sporty tank, but they push it real far back, and I just always liked that gap. I thought it was cool, so it's kind of where it wound up. But I painted it blue. It's just rattle canned, and I made mention that I wanted to get it pinstriped once to a buddy, and his cousin was a fucking pro pinstriper. So
his cousin did that.
A phone call, and one day later, he showed up. I didn't want white originally. There's some qualms about it, but this piece is pretty cool, and that's what I look at. It's got good pinstriping qualities. It's a little bit uneven, but it's straight. These lines are perfect. I added the what could possibly go wrong, because what could possibly go wrong?
I like that. Yeah, I think I saw that one time. I forgot what little bike boogie event it was over the summer, like last year or something, or this year. But yeah, I remember I seen this. I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of personality in this, man. For damn sure. I think personality goes a long way. Like I think too many people focus on like, oh, what can I add here? Like, you know, buy, install, whatever. But dude, you could just scribble something on there. You could etch something. You remove something, and
you know, it says go on my throttle and whoa on my brake.
oh, because that makes you go and that makes you go whoa.
Whoa, like rolling a horse. So.
Hell yeah, dude. What else? Is this a stock fender you chop?
No, that's, I don't even, the stock fender is so long gone. This is a hugger fender. It used to have the wide fender, so I had to put the, but that's where my taillight mounts on the other side too.
Oh, tough,
so.
Dude.
Yeah, so it's got the hugger fender. That fender was purple.
Okay. Yeah, so, okay, as of lately, it's because you said, like, you know, you work locally here and stuff, but, like, as far as a big trip goes, like, what reasons have given you, like, or what has given you reasons to get out, like, that you give yourself lately, as far as, like, you know, covering some ground on this? Because the first few were circumstance, but after that, did you, like, I think you've thrown Sturgis under your belt a few times, like, afterwards, right? Yeah,
I guess in a way, after having to do a couple of long trips on this thing, I really kind of leaned into how much I enjoyed it and kind of, I guess, how good I was at it. And so I just started, I was never afraid to just go cross state lines, you know, like 500 miles in a day is a good day. Like if I can go from a city to another city that's 500 miles away, or city to a national park that's you know, or more, I'm not afraid of, let's do it, you know, like, and I do a lot of those miles by myself because not a lot of people will do miles like that, and that's okay. I do have homies that do a lot of long miles, but it's hard to ask somebody to do that kind of thing with you, you know, like if you are doing it is one thing. If they're with you, obviously you guys are in it together, but just the initial set out is tough, you know. You can make plans with people all day long, but when the day comes, sometimes you just stand in the parking lot by yourself.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, especially because, you know, everyone's got their own lives and schedules going on, so like to be able to allocate you know, 24 hours to be on a motorcycle, like it's easy for yourself to do that for yourself, of course, likewise to me or someone, but like to have to, like, say if someone came out to you like that, you'd be like, well, actually I worked that day, I wish I knew, right?
I still have a life too, but you know, I don't have the kids, I don't have any significant others, or you know, which is benefit to me because it allows me to do this, and I guess. So this is what I do. I like doing it.
You like riding motorcycles, bro. And
riding motorcycles.
And literally, so sport bikes were a thing. You wanted a chopper. You found a Sportster. You made it like this. 9 years, same bike. No plans of quote unquote upgrading.
I don't have room in my life for any other vehicles, dude. I couldn't own a second motorcycle if my fucking life depended on it. So no, it's hard enough to own this thing. You know, like it is. It's tough to. When you live like I do, again, my truck has to be able to facilitate this because of the way that I live, and so that's just a factor. If I had two bikes, I couldn't have two bikes.
Yeah,
I don't need another bike. And I got one I don't want.
Is it safe to say this is to the grave?
Oh yeah, dude. And who else could or would? I get it, but it just, no way, man. This thing's mine, me all day.
With the miles you put and stories you have on this, bro, that is priceless to me.
Oh yeah.
Actually, you're not surprised to know that there are guys with their, you know, still doing payments on their bikes, so they're, you know, 20 somethings, and they're doing like 20-mile radiuses every month, and like, dude, let it be, right?
Yeah,
but
I love them. Good for them.
But like, it's just, I think it's more than you have realized before, is how much this bike really speaks to people like me and people that like rock with me and my friends, because that's something we had spoken on last time when we met, or the first time that we met. Was that this bike, and I'm sure more than just me, has inspired a lot of people to really see what great vehicles these are when you give them the love you need to, you know, like, because I mean, I've seen mint looking bikes with more problems than this, but the thing is, they're just not attended to and they don't have the love, and maybe they end up quote unquote upgrading. Right. Versus you know what the work is.
Trust, man, this thing's left me stranded before on the side of the road. I've stood next to this thing in the middle of fucking nowhere by myself going, what do you want? And I don't get an answer back because it isn't a thing that can answer back. Like everything that goes on with this. The bike obviously bikes get a lot of love because they, you know, they sit there and look cool. They look
Hell yeah, they look kind of.
But the truth is that they're inanimate. Like bikes do something, it doesn't do shit. The person has to be involved, and you know, like this thing has tons of problems, man. I've fucking blown the motor up.
Like you said, motor number 4, right?
Right, motor number 4, but you know, I guess you don't necessarily see that on the interwebs, but the truth is that I just fix it. If it's broken, I just fix it. I lean too hard into this thing and I ask way too much of it to just let it sit, and even just my spirit can drown because this thing is down, and so I don't do that. I know it's silly to like lean that hard into a fucking thing, but I mean, that's what us motorcycle and car guys do. It is what it is, like it's a hobby and it's a passion. And so just this keeping this bike running and keeping it on the road is just, it means something to me. And sometimes it's the only thing I even have to lean into, so I do it.
Yeah, no, it shows, bro. It shows. And that's why it blows my mind, because like I said, there are newer and nicer and cooler, whatever you want to think of, bikes out there that the people don't give them that same love, and they end up being like a second thought or some sort of a project. But what you've shown me is that, like, it's no different that I'm on a Sportster. It doesn't mean I give it any less love just because it's not the sought after crown motor, it's like, it's mine.
Yeah.
And you put so much work and love and time and hours and miles and years on this thing that some people would never give the crowned motor because they feel content that they have the thing that gets the likes.
Right.
I know that's not why you do any of what you do. I mean, I've seen your page. It's fairly minimum. Like,
yeah, I'm not a selfie guy. I don't like letting people know where I am. I don't post that often. Social media doesn't have anything to do with any of this.
Exactly.
I don't do any of this for any clout or glory. I could give a shit, man. Like, like the risks involved with doing what we do daily is way bigger than that. I mean, we all got dead homies, dude. You could fucking die pulling out of here. It doesn't matter if you got a Sportster motor between your legs or a fucking 600 Gixxer. It's all the same when you smack the side of a truck at 45 miles an hour. It'll kill you the same. They'll turn you from a brown streak into a red streak in no time, no matter what they are. So, whether you're riding 1,000 miles or riding 20 miles, obviously it's a different echelon, but the inherent danger of doing what we do exists no matter what.
Yeah.
So there's a seat for every ass. I give those guys props. A motorcycle has to run and it has to get ridden. It doesn't have to run for long and it doesn't have to get ridden for long, but it does have to do those two things, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I respect that.
That's where I'll gatekeep enough. It's like building a bomb and not blowing it up, you know what I mean?
No, I respect that you're able to say that as the person who's done tens of thousands of miles, and you're able to say that because it's true. I'm sure you see it too, and like, we don't have to name ats and people, but you see some weird gatekeepy, chest up, chin up type people, and maybe because of their possessions or their stature and whatever bike world this is, that we're humans, bro. That's why I think it's really neat how we met, and it was so organic, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I'm over here like, hi friend, I have a YouTube channel, could you sit with me? It's like, no dude, I wanted to meet you anyway. But I think if I'm stoked, I know there's so many other people that like have been following you or following your journeys and your bikes that like, they might have had the gist of who you are, but now they really get to meet you, because I don't want to gatekeep meeting you, bro, because I know there's someone in Montana that maybe follows you that's like, man, if I ever run into that guy. And here I am, I was able to run into you naturally, and for me to gatekeep and be like, oh, I don't want to bring the camera out, I don't want it to be weird. No, man, like, I want everyone to be able to meet how cool you are, because like you had said while we were eating, is that bikes are cool, they're parked, they look great, but if you stand away from that bike, it's not gonna drive itself. It's not gonna
fix. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't do anything, bro.
Not by themselves.
That's why I never let the bike define,
Truly,
the person.
Truly, and again, there's no reason for that. Again, just doing what we do puts us in a different echelon. None of us get out alive.
Yeah.
That guy's gonna die. That girl's gonna die.
Yeah.
She's gonna die. I'm gonna die. You're gonna die. Everyone's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gets out alive, but doing what we do, I feel like death has a little bit closer grasp on people like us, and
it does.
There's no reason to try and make one version of something better than the other.
Yes.
When risk is involved.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you're on a sport bike or a chopper. It doesn't matter if you're on a knuckle or a shovel or anything.
Yes.
Again, motorcycles are dangerous.
Yeah.
So there's no time in my life for any of that kind of gatekeeping stuff. You do it for yourself, and you do it for the right reasons. And if you need validation from somebody, then pick a different hobby.
There it is, man. No one wants to talk about that, but it is true, man. There's a lot of people that get into motorcycles, but they're, I think, exposed to way too much online, as to where before it was all probably very natural. They just wanted a bike because they saw people riding them and they would have a good time. But the internet, in good and bad, has exposed us to so much that, like we were talking about while we were eating, is that some people feel like they need the certain validation, or they feel like a pressure. Like, they get a bike and their automatic assumption is that, oh, it's not vintage, I haven't camped in the desert yet, I'm not over here on an open winding road, I'm not doing the right thing. Right. And that's not true. That's not their life.
No, and that sucks for them to either be have that presented to them, or have that perception about themselves, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, again, motorcycles are motorcycles. As long as you're out there riding it, it doesn't matter what you're doing to me. It just, like, I don't know. I don't have time for any of that stuff. It just doesn't make. There's no
agenda to this.
Yeah, I don't have an agenda. There's no reason for it. I don't have any, for somebody, if you're at a gas station on your bike or your Ironhead, or if I'm on this thing, or some guy, one of the homies on their bike, if we're at a gas station and some old timer walks up and he's got that sparkle in his eye and he's like, man, it's crazy to see choppers on the road. If you were to be like, what are you talking about? It's a normal bike.
It's just a bike.
You know what? It isn't a fucking normal bike, and you're not fucking normal. It's a chopper. Give this fucking old chopper dude some time. Know your fucking role.
Yeah.
Realize who they're talking to. You know what I mean? You're not just a guy in a suit driving a fucking BMW. You're a fucking dirty dude on a chopper in the middle of fucking nowhere. That's who this person is talking to.
Yeah.
Be that fucking person.
Yes. I mean, it's also fair to say that, like, even in someone in my age, is like, we get into this stuff because we think it's sick, it's cool, we do it, it has a lot of style, and we enjoy it. But what we also need to remember is that for certain older generations, they literally lived through this. Like, we're barely piggybacking on something that's been existing for decades. So when they see it alive in us, it's not really cool for us to shrug it off like, it's just something I put together. It's like, no, like, let them have their moment and talk to them about it.
Enjoy your moment too. You don't have to give everybody everything, but you can't lie to yourself. Yeah. If I were to say that this bike was a normal bike and I'm a normal dude, and I don't, and somebody were to approach me and I was tried to play that's not the truth. It just isn't, and why deny that?
Yeah,
like I don't have it. Yeah, so just be authentic.
There is a lot of too cool mentality in the motorcycle stuff, bro.
I don't want to do that. That sucks, man.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be time for that.
Yeah, because
but the thing is too is when it. Sure, we're all copying somebody. I'm not the first person to have stupid handlebars, that sissy bars off of an Ironhead that I modified. Like we're not the first person to do this. But the truth is that we're still the ones at this point taking the risk. So whether or not we're copying or embodying or paying homage to a certain thing from the past doesn't really matter, because when I get on this motorcycle, the dude from the 70s on his shovelhead ain't the one that's going to get fucked up if I crash. It's me.
You're right. You're right.
The risk is still there, but again, it's just a matter of not denying yourself or the world what kind of person you are and what kind of bike you ride. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I love that, bro. I mean, even down to what we were saying earlier when we were eating, is that, like, the internet and everything that is exposed to us, they'll show you how to install this, how to weld that, how to modify and do this. That's great, and leave it at that. But as far as motorcycle marketing, like the ads that you get or the random reels you see, it's all these outdoorsy just guys that don't look like us, with the bikes cooler than ours, doing their thing. We don't know where they live. We don't know their life situation. So it's like, it gives certain people imposter syndrome. They're like, damn, how come I'm not doing that? But that's why I think it's cool that we're able to speak with you, and a guy with a Sportster who just had some circumstance and wanted to cover some ground and is now addicted to it, to show other people that it's like, when someone says, oh, all I have is a Sportster, or I don't really have a chopper yet.
Way. All I have is a Sportster. Change your perspective, your attitude. It's not negative. Like,
exactly.
You got a Sportster? Fuck, you're doing better than anybody who don't have one.
There you go. You're right. And that's the thing that's cool, man. I mean, like, you might not have the cowboy boots and the desert vibes and all that stuff. We're all
wear them though. I wore those bad boys.
Yo, see, because bro, like there are city slickers like us that we live out here, and that's cool. We got our parking lots, but it doesn't stop us from getting out there. We don't have to play. We don't have to play dress up.
Fuck, riding in here is way more fucking dangerous than riding in Joshua Tree.
Honestly, bro, yes, yes. Bro, you can get hit.
Person on that car pulled in on their fucking phone. They're gonna pull out on their phone. You know what I mean? You're not gonna see the one headlight coming at them down the street. It's just
There is a risk to dailying these vehicles as well, for sure. And it's just those, like, we do want to get out and get those long desert trips and like whatever stuff like that, but it's also a risk out here every day, and you see it, I see it, and I want people to finally see it's like, dude, you're super chill, you got it going on, bro. Like, we're talking music in there. Yeah, we're talking music in there, and like all that is behind this vehicle. So this vehicle drew me to like want to meet you, but then seeing how you went about it, bro, because you could park this in, like, if all your photos were just pictures of this, yes, if this was only parked outside of like walls and random streets in a building, I would think it was a cool bike and I would leave it at that. But the moment you would share your, like, in front of the Sturgis sign, or I see it's in Mexico, I'm like, okay, there's more to this. There's way more to this. And I'm glad that I was able to meet that, and people online hopefully are able to kind of get a better idea of who you are, because...
Thanks, dude. I hope nobody ever has... I hope like, you know, like you or the other guys have come up to me, and you know, I got homies and choppers that I walk up to and I'm like, fuck, this inspired that
yeah
thing, you know. I love walking up to them and telling them that, and I love when that kind of thing happens too. I don't know if I'd be a good celebrity because it gives me, but it's the truth, you know. Like,
yeah.
To deny what I've accidentally done, it would be silly, you know. Sometimes you just have to accept what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you can steer your life and do whatever you want, but like, I mean, you know, fuck, I accidentally built a semi-famous motorcycle, and now people ask me about it, so
I think
I'll talk about it. That's okay. I don't mind. I love my bike, you know, like, it is what I do.
I think part of where it even comes from, now that I'm trying to like think of why I was so drawn to this, is because all the bikes you see doing these massive miles, or what appears to, like I said, I don't want to make statements, but
sure.
the bikes I do see out in the boonies doing these little camping trips, I don't know why, but they're all panheads, they're all generator shovels. I'm not questioning how they got there, I'm not questioning where they live, but you just see those old vintage $30,000 bikes with no problem somehow in the desert.
No. I've ridden next to those bikes plenty of times, and they, trust me, some of them are mile munchers too. I got a buddy with a panhead that's one of the baddest bikes I've ever ridden next to, a 48. Thing just cleans house every time we do a long trip.
Nice.
Another homie on a 51, he blew his bike up, I mean bad, on one of the trips. He's got a shovel head he's building. He blew it up yesterday on the trip that he's on right now, you know, like, so those bikes do have issues, and not to say that this thing doesn't, but you know, again, it just I know what's going on with this bike. I know what the guts of it look like. I do all the work, and I don't expect everybody to do that, but because I have that knowledge of this bike, I guess that allows me to lean a little bit harder into it too, and just know that I can trust. You know, I've turned down trips. I didn't go on EDR this last week.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I wanted to really bad, but that front cylinder's making a bunch of noise, and so I'm just not willing to risk that failing in 700 miles into the desert in Mexico.
You're right.
There's risk and reward, and that's something that, like, I couldn't not handle that, but it's just like, what are you going to do? It's just a lot harder to navigate when you're in that situation. They paved those roads once in the 70s. There's not a fucking dealership down the street. They don't even have the oil you need at the place down the way. You're right. It's not going to happen, and you have to be real about whether or not you can do that if you're going to do what I do. And so sometimes there's times where I can't set out on the bikes, you know, like Party of the Pen is happening this weekend. I'd love to be in Idaho. This thing isn't going to make it, and so we ain't going.
I mean, to hear this from you is reassuring too, because you're talking about the, you know, the most sought after turnkey bike, right? And you're telling us about all this. Right. So it's like, when all that news feed is plastered with these vintage 60s expensive motorcycles doing these, like, what seems to be outlandish trips and desert stuff, it gives massive imposter syndrome to a guy who just works a regular job and picked up a sporty, kicks it up and styles it like this, but then when he sees all these other guys doing the real thing, they start to question, like, how come I'm not doing that? And like, they could, you know what I'm saying? I hope they do. Yeah. I hope they do. I hope people who want to give it a shot, but I also hope people who try it and realize that it's not for them don't go any further. Thank you, bro.
Because that is more dangerous, in my opinion, than somebody who rides crazy, is somebody who shouldn't be out there doing something that is. And again, you have to try and you have to push yourself, but at some point, especially when you're doing something where the risk is so high, you have to realize that that's the case. I mean, you see used bikes for sale all the time. Some guy walked in, bikes got real popular, TV shows about motorcycles and all kinds of stuff. They're super accessible now. You go, guys, you know, young guys go out and finance a bike down in San Diego. Military guy goes out, gets his Hellcat, and then he goes out and he finances a bike, goes to an intersection and has a scare with a fucking Peterbilt, pulls over and pulls the seat out of his ass, questions whether or not if he thinks it's worth it, realizes it isn't, and sells his bike. Good on him. Yeah. You know, like, that is more, there's more gumption in that than trying to fight through and be like, I can do this, you know, than just realizing, like, hey, sometimes there's just not, motorcycles are just not for you, or this thing isn't for you. Yeah, that's a great point to bring up, because I do understand that it's, the way I see it is, it's always better to say, oh well, than what if. Totally. So it's saying, like, you know, don't be the guy who's like, I've been planning to do a road trip, and like, you say that for the whole life until you freaking have 3 kids and never leave the house. Right. Then maybe it wasn't any, but either act on it or tuck it away. But like, it sucks when someone keeps pushing and like, one day and it never happens. Like you said, get it over with, try, and then maybe then either you're gonna fall in love with it or it's not for you, but you have to try. Right. And you know, again, circumstances are different. I don't have any kids, so you know, some people who are raising families can't just take off for weeks and months at a time, and well, that's their story. Mine is this, and it allows me to do this, and so I have to understand that puts me in a different frame than a lot of people. I'm available to do what I do, and that's why you know, and I do. I do it.
Well, that's kind of where this blends together, is that
Yeah, I guess if that inspires people, cool. That's what,
Yeah.
you know, I never set out to do it, but man, it would be remiss to deny that. Like, you're right. I do a lot of fucking hard miles, and I ride a long fucking way on this thing.
I think that's where this blends
cool.
perfectly. No, it blends perfectly, because here you are putting insane amounts of miles on a Sportster, and you're thinking to yourself, like, yeah, there's someone out there that might not be in their cards, and that's fine. That's where I think me and my friends land, is that we might not have done massive miles, but we proudly ride these every day, take them wherever we want, and there's not a single bone in my body that's thinking like, oh, I'm not the real deal because I didn't do Sturgis. Like,
No way, dude.
I'm not pressed on it.
Throwing your leg over this thing the way you do every day and riding it the way you do makes you the real deal.
Thank you, man. Dude,
up.
hey, that made
Straight up,
thank you,
dude.
bro. And likewise to you. The fact that you put in the work and you do your thing and your chest is not more out than the next guy speaks volumes to me, man. That's why we're here right now, because there are some people that turn a bolt, candy paint something, get a couple pictures, and next thing you know, they are Drake in their head. They are above everybody and they're in a different tier. I'm like, you know what's crazy? They ain't, bro, because I was taught at an early age to shake hands with hobos and presidents the same way as I do with each other.
Fuck yeah.
So in the same respect, whether, like you said, your riding style, what you ride, how often or how not often you ride, whether you work on it or you don't, a bullet's gonna hit us the same way it's gonna hit the next
Absolutely.
guy. So I don't think anyone should act any different, and that's why it's cool to see a city slicker and a mile muncher in the same parking lot having a bomb breakfast, bro, and a freaking Modelo at like 11 in the morning, dude. That's really neat, dude. Hell yeah. I don't know, this filled my soul a bit, man, and that's why we do it.
Thank you.
That's why we do it, man.
Yeah.
That's why it's beautiful to me that this can go further than just like, I added this to my bike, I changed this, and like, dude, that's great, but like you said, it's the human behind each bike that really makes it special, bro.
Without a doubt. And all the homies that have
The homies too.
homies that, you know, I didn't do any one thing. I mean, I've done a lot of work on this bike by myself, but any of the main features, you know, the handlebars, my tail light, the sissy bar, the seat,
Yeah.
the paint, it was all, you know, my boy's Martian Machine did my hack, you know, like it's all of those trinkets were given to me. You know, I didn't buy a single one of those. They were all given to me by people. You know, the leather band that has my nickname and fucking runes on it right there was given to me by somebody. You know, like those gold pegs.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
They're
too.
hippie killer, but they were given to me by a buddy of mine, and it was like just because I had the gold on the tank, he's like, oh, you can have. So there they are. You know, like
Yeah.
they're just a thing, but they were given to me by somebody, and so that's why they're on there. You know.
Yeah.
The leather came from my uncle's ostrich farm.
Oh yeah, you know.
So that kind of stuff. A friend of mine, because I wear all my chains.
Yeah.
And gave me a chain. I put it on my bike, so my
Chain
bike
on
has
your
a chain
bike.
too. But a friend of mine gave that to me, so
Hell yeah.
you know.
I mean,
A
that's
friend
what
of
it's
mine
about.
gave me this. That came off of one of my buddy's punk rock jackets. A customer of mine at one of my shops 3D printed me this fin when the first 3D printers came out and sent it to me in the mail. It's been on there ever since.
See,
know,
it's the
like-
stories that come, and that's crazy. I get when there's those deep voice narrators on the cool videos, like, oh, your stories are on the road, brother. Like, I get that too, but there are stories in everyday life and
Absolutely.
friends, man. And this, bro, like, hell yeah, I can't get back to it enough, bro.
Yeah, I know. Me too. It's unreal. I prefer a good interaction in this at all. I have a really hard time with culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved in a lot of things that I don't. I have a hard time with the culture that comes along with stuff, because
Okay.
when a group of people get into something, car shows,
Yes.
bike shows, horses,
Okay.
guns,
Uh-huh.
gun boys, you know, the gun bros, it's really easy to get. Damn, I lost my train of thought. You're gonna have to edit that one.
Oh no, you're no, you're good. You said you have a hard time with cultures because
it's hard. When you
I think I know where you're going with
When
this.
you start when you start showing up to events with other people with things like, there's a lot of, it seems to be like kind of one-upmanship, you know, like,
Yes.
hey, I got this new thing, well, I got this, and it's, I don't know, there's I hate it. I hate it. When I go
in every aspect.
When I go to a motorcycle show, the last thing I want to do is talk about motorcycles.
Dude, you know what's
I
crazy?
wanna
Same,
fucking
brother.
drink beers and fucking rap with chicks and talk music with the homies and
Yo.
see what's going on in their lives. Like, I don't want to stand in front of somebody's bike and have them tell me how much that cost, or how much that cost, or how much that cost. I want to stand in front of their bike and tell me where they made that, or who helped in that, or the dollar amount on something has zero value. There's no value in that to me.
You're right.
The cost of something and the value of something are inherently different, and it means more to me to have, like, my bike is built of stories and people, and you know,
Yes, dude.
like, you know, this S&S cover I didn't buy. A friend of mine gave this to me, and it fit weird, so I turned it upside down because one of my homies was running his upside down, and it was just like, I know it's a silly thing, but you know, it seemed like I don't have like, there's no push rod tube. I don't have a push rod tube, but I got an adjustable push rod tube. It's John Wayne Gacy, the Pogo the Clown, the murderers.
Oh yeah,
There's 4 of them. I have John Wayne Gacy. One of the other homies has Charles Manson. There's Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy.
Oh my god, the freaking 4.
Yeah.
Dude, so I mean, with that being said, like, okay, you ride this thing, it's crazy. So you had mentioned the having trouble with cultures because whatever it is you're into, you could feel the one-upness, or how come you don't have that, or when are you gonna that, with anything.
Yeah.
Anything,
I'm
right?
involved in the bicycle industry. That's my career. I work in bicycles. Same thing. You go to a particular event, let's say it's a mountain biking event. It's the culture that comes along with that. I know everybody's there for that reason, and there's a lot of stoke on that. But it gets really hard to, you know, if you don't have this particular part on your bike, if you're not running the newest cool, you know, purple anodized trinket from some new company somewhere, if your legs aren't fucking shaved, if you're not wearing a full kit,
you're automatically
out. Come on.
And you know what, you're saying that in the bicycle world, but I'm already piecing together a motorcycle version of that in my head.
Or even skateboarding, or going snowboarding, or you know, like, again, gun bros, you know, like, check out this Glock I got. Yeah, well, my Glock has this fucking thing to it, and it's like, who cares? You know, like, so what?
Oh yeah, I think people could piece together your version of what you're saying in the bike world. I know exactly what you're saying. Like, I could already put that scenario.
I don't want to be full of shit, but that's just how I see it. I just...
It's true,
you know,
though.
I'm not saying I haven't ever been guilty of it. I hope I'm not. I really try to make sure that I, you know... Man, everything that has a little heart into it has merit, you know? Every bike. I would never tell somebody to their face, unless they were my friend and I was actually talking shit, that their bike was ugly, even if I think that's
I know what you mean.
I went to the David Mann Chopper Fest in Ventura a couple years ago, which I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's a more local West Coast show, and the bikes that it brings out are kooky.
Oh wait,
kooky.
I've seen the Dragonator. I've seen the okay. You know,
plumbing bike.
Yeah.
There was a bike there a couple years ago that had, if you imagine like a knight. You know, like a Knight of the Round Table.
Like medieval, right?
Yeah, medieval. The armor on his horse, like, looks like scales. This whole bike had this crazy armor done to it. Dude, each singular piece of this armor, and there were dozens on this bike, had so much work put into it. Each singular piece had more work put into it than probably all the tins on any motorcycle within 40 feet of that bike. Was that bike ugly? Yes. But the truth is that I would never tell that, because that guy, the person who built that bike, and I didn't get to talk to him, they put so much heart into that bike that the outcome in the end, to me, sure,
might not have been your style.
It doesn't matter. Because the outcome in the end was, the amount of work was phenomenal, and that made that bike, I'm talking about it like the ugliest bike on earth, but I'm talking about it. It made that bike important to me because it's a perfect example of how it should be. You should be able to build a ugly bike. Maybe I hope you should walk through the garage and be like, hey, are you sure? But
no, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? At the end, the dude was probably so stoked on it. I mean, it was at a fucking show. It was entered in a show, and it was just like, dude, this bike rules because it's ugly and it's here. Yeah. You know?
And I get what you're saying too, because on that same topic of you saying like the whole culture thing, like, because they like motorcycles, but they clearly didn't leave it at that.
No.
You know what I'm saying, dude, bro? Like,
could make fucking
armor.
I mean, it was gnarly. It was all shaped and peaked, and it had this gold line on the edge, and everyone had a ball on the end. I mean, this was like legit armor, and it was all over the bike.
And it's crazy that you bring this up. So I love what you're saying about, in certain cultures, it doesn't matter what it is, music, motorcycles, cars, like, there's a weird gatekeepy, if it ain't that, it ain't right type thing. I get that, and that's why you have trouble with it. You just kind of do your thing, right? And that is literally, and this isn't like some self-promo, but that's literally where the term unaffiliated came from with me and my friends. That's literally what it stood for. Because if you Google the definition, it means not connected or affiliated with any particular organization or group. So that means I'm not a chopper guy. I'm not a music guy. I'm not, you know, I'm not a car guy. Exactly. We're all, we're all that. But the moment you just dive into one thing, the reason why it's called unaffiliated is because like, oh yeah, you guys ride bikes, you guys are bike guys. It's like, no, like that's one part of it, but clearly I'm an effing nerd for Marvel. And Disney's
drift cars.
Yeah. okay. See, yeah. So it's like, so I don't let my hobbies define me. I define myself through my hobbies. Now I know you're doing that.
That's it. I'm a motorcyclist, I guess, is where I like it. But I'm also not. It's just I like doing this. I mean, I guess I am, but I'm not. I'm a bicyclist. I'm a snowboarder. I'm an artist. I write graffiti. I love music.
Music, bro. You shred. Yeah.
I love all that stuff. And I just, and I like people that are involved with that. So I have a hard time with the culture unless you don't have a hard time with the culture.
I get that.
Like, I'm not there to perpetuate any bullshit. I don't have any time for that. It interests me so little. We talked about bait seats. I bring those up all the time because I fucking hate them. It's so stupid. The condition that they sell and for the amount of money that they sell online is just ridiculous because there's somebody's name attached to it. And I understand that in certain things, it's the same thing as having a surfboard that was shaped by a legendary surfboard shaper.
Yeah.
I get it. It's cool and it's something to have, but again, it also doesn't matter. Do you have to have that surfboard? No. Do you have to have a bait seat? No.
Yeah.
Can you put a lowbrow seat on your bike? Absolutely. Could you shape a piece of metal and fucking rivet some leather to it like I did the first seat? Yes, you fucking can. You can make it yourself. You don't have to have, and it doesn't make that seat any less comfortable or uncomfortable under your fucking ass.
You're right.
Because you're just a human with an ass.
Yeah, dude.
So.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I got out of everything that we spoke about today was that, I mean, not just to tie the name unaffiliated, but like the reason why that name runs so heavy is because it shows like you're not affiliated with any specific thing. You're your own person, bro, whatever you're into. So at the same time, like we'll wrap it up again, is that we don't let our hobbies define who we are. We define who we are through our hobbies. Absolutely. And that's why we're here right now, bro.
Fuck yeah.
I'm stoked to have had this conversation because it's important, thanks, bro. Like some people will just write it off at, oh, you had a combo with a guy in a parking lot. Bro, this is covering a lot more than like, tell me about your paint, tell me about your pipes. It's like, bro, like I get that, but tell me about your life and who you are and what it means. And you spilled it all, bro.
We go everywhere together, man.
Hell yeah.
This thing is a big part of my life.
Good.
It's hard to admit that I lean so hard into an inanimate object, but again, that's what car guys and motorcycle guys do. We do lean into these things, and me and this accidental fucking hero over here, like, yeah. Again, this bike was just a weird little white bike when I bought it from Out of Vision, and it wasn't necessarily to do what I did, but it was to ride. Yeah. I wanted a bike to ride. I grew up on motorcycles, and I wanted another bike, and so it just the circumstances turned into me being able to do what I do, and I just happen to be doing it on this thing, so yeah, I lean into her, man. We love it. We go everywhere together. Me and old Sue.
Sue, there you go. And like, I guess the last thing I could ask is like, beyond this, just in life, what inspires you, bro? Like just to wake up in the morning, like what gets you going?
Damn, it should be such an easy answer, but it's, I mean, I'm a human too, man. I got the same issues. I'm an emotional motherfucker too, so I battle things just like you do, and everybody does. But it's I don't know. It's the excitement of what's coming, man. I'm a day-to-day kind of guy. Sure, a long time ago, I probably would have had a fucking path chosen for myself in life, but that got rended from me way early, and my life took the path it took, and so I don't know. My friends, me, my people, the sky, I don't know, just waking up and seeing what's going on in front of me every day is kind of what inspires me.
That's great.
Sometimes it's going to work and hating your job and you just got to do it. But that's not what it's about, man. You get your day off, you get on your bike, you get your homies, like even sometimes days at work are great. Sometimes people love their jobs. They wake up and they look forward to going. That's it. Just whatever's coming at you that day is just kind of going with it.
It's a gift, bro.
Yeah, I try to be pretty, subjective?
I believe so.
Where people, I try not to push back too hard on the world. I can be pretty opinionated, but the truth is that there's a lot going on on this world that I can't dictate.
Of course.
I mean? Even in the 10 minutes between where I live and where I work, there's a lot of city. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of things happening, and I can't dictate that. And it's just a matter, sometimes you get a smooth sail to work, and sometimes your fucking bike don't start.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And so it just, if you were coming to work and I was your boss, and you text me and was like, dude, my bike won't start, you know what my answer would be? Okay, well, I guess when it starts, keep me posted. What am I, get here now, blah, blah, blah. How the fuck is it going to get here now? His vehicle isn't going to work. It's just like, you know, there's a lot. So when I wake up every morning, I just let the world play to me. I don't try to fight it. I try to go, I'm a go with the flow kind of guy. I can be pretty opinionated and aggressive and reactive if I let myself. But I also realize that, you know, fighting is a loser's game. And so when I wake up every day and just kind of try to let the world play to me.
I like that,
That's
dude.
So I let the world inspire me. Yeah. I mean,
Existence even.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, okay.
You know, we only get one trip around this fucking planet so far that we know, like,
yeah.
You know, why not? Let's have a little fun with it.
Let's
get out alive. I'm not going on my own. I'm fighting. I will not go softly into that cold night. No
I mean, we covered hella bases, and even with that was great, bro. And I think, and this might be harder to answer, but I always just like to ask people this because it's really hard for certain people. But
gee whiz, thanks.
Yeah, so no pressure. But if there's someone who's watching this right now, it doesn't matter what age they are, if they're fresh out of high school or they're already senior or something, you know, sitting at home, retired, widow, whatever their situation is, if that person feels like, you know, they feel uninspired, or they kind of just feel down, or they feel like, you know, they kind of feel like they're in a hole, in a rut, they've been running in circles, I wouldn't even say advice, but what insightfulness would you give to someone in a position that, you know, they might feel like they're at kind of the end of their line, they don't know what's going on? Like, what could you possibly tell someone? If you have nothing, I'll cut this whole part out, but it's just
try something different.
Try something new.
Try something different. Comfort zone is a really, it's so easy to say, because the human condition is so strange. How the fuck could you possibly dictate being what it means to be a human? There's a bunch of, you know, and so it's hard to dictate if my mind works the same as somebody else's, but it's try something different.
Try something different.
Yeah, you know, like I had to throw my leg over a motorcycle for the first time once, and so did you. And the person who jumped out of a plane to go skydiving, they had to do that for the first time once also, and that was a huge threshold for them to cross. And it's not, don't be afraid to cross the threshold, no matter how big or small it is. Not everybody needs to jump out of a plane to prove to themselves they can do it.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs
sometimes
to do
it's just getting out of bed, bro.
Sometimes it's just getting out of bed and trying something a little bit different. You know, like pulling into a new place and trying the breakfast there versus the place that you always go.
Small steps, but in the right direction.
Yeah, and you know, advocating for yourself, realizing like you're a singular human on this planet. I mean, you might have other humans relying on you, but the truth is that you're a singular human, and even if that step is small, you know, not everybody needs to get a bike, but if you're thinking about getting a motorcycle, fucking get one. And if you're a kid and your parents telling you, trying to talk you out of it, and you want a motorcycle, well, eventually you'll be able to make that decision to get a motorcycle, and I don't lose that. So you know, do for yourself. You gotta look out for yourself. Yeah. And that is, do that. Make sure you can rely on yourself. Yeah, before anything else, right? You have to be. You know, nobody will advocate you like you advocate for you. Nobody will kill you like you kill you. Nobody gets to kill me like I kill me. I'm I like that. I like that, bro. But also, that's heavy. You know, nobody will advocate for you like you will. You know, like if you're hungry. Yeah. You take a shit. You take a shit. If you gotta go do a thing, you go do the thing. Whatever it is, you just. You know, like that's not an opinion. That's a fact. If you're right. If you're hungry, you gotta eat. I didn't make that up. You know, like you gotta rely on yourself a little bit, and so make sure that you advocate for yourself, and don't be afraid to do the thing. You know. Okay. Yeah. I get that. Try and doing art. Try doing art. Yes. If you draw stick figures, so what? Draw the fuck out of those stick figures. Draw them. Draw them everywhere. Draw them for everybody. Put them on everything. Do it. Make stick figures. They don't have to be. Not everybody has to be a portrait artist. Some people can be a stick figure artist. Yeah. You know. And that's a great way to look at it, bro. Because anyone who's been able to go through what you've had on this bike, and even in your own life and your major changes you went through, and to be able to sit here and eat with me and just be grinning and stuff, and like you said, to be inspired just to wake up and see what the day can bring. The reason why I had brought up, like, you know, how would you talk to someone who might be in a hole? The reason why I say that is because I know that, you know, everybody goes through their own little mental loops and their holes, and, you know, some people hide it better than the others. But the thing is, I can definitely tell when someone's on the right track and you're completely pushing towards the up, like you're active, you're doing this, I trust. I have good bad days. I guess I'm lucky enough to have something like this to lean into. Some people it's skateboarding, some people it's riding bikes, some people it's, again, more art. Some people it's nothing. Some people it's dogs, some people it's whatever it is that you have that you love. I just lean into it. Yes, like even if it's a trinket in your hand that you do, a yo-yo, yo-yo the fuck out of it. Yeah, whatever it is, like, you know what I mean?
I love that, dude.
Humans have to have something to love. And
Yes,
the most
yes.
calculated people on earth always have an appreciation for some sort of art. And it's just whatever that little art is that you do.
You're right.
Just do it. That's it. I mean, there's
I like that, man.
Yeah.
That was solid, brother. Dude, I mean, thank you for your time. I mean, dude,
Yeah, man.
this is solid, bro.
That's all I got is time.